Hey, it's party time. It's Thursday. Get off the rails. Sara Gonzales is, well, you're not off the rails. You're sitting on the couch.
Well, that was anticlimactic. Thanks.
Yeah, I was trying to, get you all pumped up and stuff. You calm down at all?
Do I ever calm down?
No. I like you that way, though. I want you to stay calmed up. I want you to be fired up at all times.
Well, there's enough going on to keep that happening.
I don't get it, Sarah. I went on Twitter yesterday and I said, don't take kids to drag shows. Stop taking kids to drag shows.
Seems like reasonable advice.
Well, do we want to go through some of the comments?
Do you have them?
Yeah.
Oh.
So, let's...
While you're looking at those, can I just say, you have to tell me all of these things that you tweet because Twitter is not showing me anything you post anymore. So if I'm not going to your Twitter, I don't see any of it.
Twitter's weird. Okay, so last night, 3 days ago, whatever, I did the typo tweets. Yeah. Right? Yeah. The infamous typo tweets.
Yes.
God forbid.
You were like, hey, I'm about to screw with people today.
I texted you. I said, I'm about to screw with people. I'm about to do something here. And I knew it was going to be a long 24 hours, especially if one of those tweets blew up.
Right.
I think I'm allergic to this jersey. I think the dog's been sleeping on it.
Are you allergic to the dog?
No, but I'm smelling too much here. It's like too much dander. There's a lot of dander going on, Brandon. But I told you, I said, I'm going to do this. Mm-hmm. And I put it out there. And then that night, I've been hovering around the 303,000 followers on Twitter, right? It backed all the way down to 302.8. So I was like, how'd I lose 200? But I looked yesterday, just 24 hours later, 303.3. So how'd I gain 500 followers in 24 hours? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't trust any of it.
They've been slowly decreasing my followers for a while now. But with all this drag show stuff that came out, it's been steadily increasing. I'm sure they'll find a way to clamp down on that.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So I said, there's absolutely no reason to take a child to a drag show.
Right.
We played the video the other day, Monday's episode, and I mean, just parents everywhere.
I love that you look at yourself while you're in the middle of talking.
This thing. I'm falling apart here. I don't want the tattoos to come out.
The time to do that is before we start taping.
No, I don't. I make this up as I go, Sarah.
I know.
I don't want the tattoos to start falling out. Then it's going to be like Elvis. They're going to be throwing panties at me stuff.
As if they don't already.
They'll mail them to me.
I love that my husband asked me today, oh, what are you talking about on Chad's show? I was like, I don't know. You think he tells me in advance what we're going to talk 100%. About?
Literally, I think of it 30 seconds before, like as Mark is counting me in.
Yes.
So no reason to take it. Nowhere to take it. Somebody said I couldn't find a babysitter. All right. So they're trying to be cute. Somebody said, this was kind of funny, said, you could tell I'm from Texas when my first thought is, why wouldn't you take a child to the races?
Oh, drag races, yeah.
Says, there is no reason to take a child to a lot of inappropriate places, but people take them, and that's their own business, don't you think?
No, I don't think.
Somebody said, just as there's no reason not to take them. Somebody said, you want less government overreach, but you also want to tell parents where they can take their kids.
That particular response is so maddening to me, as if child abuse is not a thing, right? Like as if we don't have limits on what parents can do already. Are parents allowed to physically abuse their children? No. Are parents allowed to murder their own children? No. So why are we acting as if there are not already limits?
If my neighbor was abusing their child, guess what? I would do something about it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, and no one would come to you and say, well, is it really your business that your neighbor is abusing the shit out of their own children?
Yeah. Somebody said, so teaching children tolerance and acceptance is not a good reason. Somebody said, so you hate freedom. If you don't like drag shows, don't go. No one's forced you to attend them. Don't try to parent other adults or other people's children. Says, how about if that child's father is in the show, or brother, or uncle, or if the family just enjoys live stage shows? Chad has never been to a drag show. Yes, I have. That's the whole point. Yes, I have. numerous, if you wanted to really take it that far and say, oh, Chad goes to drag shows. Yeah, because believe it or not, we go and we expose these things. Mm-hmm. So I've been to several.
Unrelated, what are those lesions that you have all over you?
Monkeypox. I've started calling them Betos, Beto pimples. I've got Beto pimples.
Did you see they had to do a Reuters fact check that Beto O'Rourke does not monkeypox.
Which he has a bacterial infection, which is not monkeypox, as many online have claimed. Yeah. So anyway, it goes on with more and more of this stuff about the acceptance and, I was brought up in an LGBTQ theater, and then you're a transphobe. Well, drag is not trans.
Right.
All right. So let's be clear.
Also, not scared.
And still not scared of any of you. Anyway. And this whole teach your kid acceptance. So I went to several different articles in the last couple of days, psychological articles. Now, you go to something like Psychology Today, and they're going to be in defense of taking. You're going to have these quote-unquote doctors who are in defense of taking a child to a drag show. And what they say is, this is a place where when 42% of transgender, again, they're confusing the issue because we're not talking about transgenders,
right.
But these kids would have confusion of who they are in terms of gender. 42% may commit suicide, all right? Statistically, they're going to commit suicide. So this is a place where they can go and understand that just because they don't know who they are, they can feel okay about being different. And so you have a person who literally may have something going on mentally and emotionally, psychologically in their brain where they may end their life. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to take them to what? The circus? That's going to be my solution, and help them realize that clowns can dress up and be something different than they're not. I'm going to take them to Disney World and say, look, these characters, these princesses, these people in a suit, they're not real either. They're not really who they are. Is that psychologically going to help that person that has a mental issue going on, because again, all kids, guys, I don't know who you are, but I got a feeling that you also dealt with an identity crisis at some point in time in your life where you were like, I don't really know who I am. Mm-hmm. People say all the time, well, who's Chad Prather? I'm 49 years old. I'm still trying to figure out who Chad Prather is, okay? I've embraced the fact that life is one big identity crisis. I had my first midlife crisis at 24. Had another one at 32. Had another one at 38. Another one at 42. I'm in one right effing now. You know what? It's just one big crisis. That's it. But my God, I'm not going to go watch characters play, in order to say, well, that's going to solve my mental dysphoria.
You also see where they're taking this, right? When they say it's just about teaching love and acceptance and appreciating people for who they are.
Yep.
Okay, well, what about the actual pedophile?
What about the actual pedophiles? What about, and you can search these out. There's news stories out there where you have people, it's been discovered, are registered sex offenders who are at these drag shows where these children are present, okay? Now, I have also, not just to expose things, I've been to drag shows because I've been to drag shows. I've been in places where they had drag shows. Mm-hmm.
I personally can't understand the appeal, but I understand.
No, it's just you go to a place and suddenly they have a drag show.
Oh yeah.
You've been in a bar. I mean,
right.
I didn't go saying, "Hey guys, we're going to the drag show tonight."
But the people who do,
right?
It's like I don't personally understand it.
And it's not, a man does not make an attractive woman,
right?
First of all,
and I don't appreciate being appropriated, and I'm certainly not going to pay you to appropriate me.
So, and we alluded to this on the show Monday. I'm supposed to, or Tuesday, I don't know when it was, but I'm supposed to look at a man who is mocking what it is to be feminine.
Right.
With flamboyant gaudiness, right? I'm gonna put on way too much makeup. The hair is gonna be way too big.
Really hideous looking.
That's not what a woman is.
Right.
That's not the essence of beauty. It's not the essence of femininity. It's not. So just because you got your balls waxed doesn't mean you can put on a dress and be feminine. So my thing there is it's an affront to what we're telling people is good, solid mental identity, all right? Psychological identity. Because I go back to this whole thing over and over again. If you don't know who you are, you're going to have a hard time in life. If you don't have some sense of identity, you're not going to know where you're going in life. There's no purpose. There's no destiny, right? There's no legacy to leave behind. You don't know where you came from. You don't know who you are. You don't know where you're going.
And if you don't have a person or people in your life who will continue to keep you grounded and explain truth to you and absolutes and right from wrong, you're really going to have a hard time in life.
It's so people say, oh, well, you're just so full of hate. You just so, no, I don't. I really don't. And I don't care. You as an adult, you can go have fun, do whatever you want to do. But to psychologically try to justify this and say, well, this helps teach a kid that maybe they're a little different. No. All kids are different. Mm-hmm. All kids are different. Well, it helps them overcome bullying. And no. All kids get bullied.
Yes.
At some point in time, all kids are bullies.
Yep.
I know, sweet little angel there in your house. You think, No, at some point in time, all kids are bullied and all kids bully. We all do things.
Right.
You say things you regret. You do things you regret. Sometimes you do them because you're just mean. And sometimes things are done to you because people are mean. So wouldn't it be better to help you process that in a genuine manner than to take you into a world of make-believe and say, this is where you find your identity? I think my kids are reasonably adjusted in terms of their sense of identity, who they are. I never at one point in time said, hey, while we're here at Disney World, I want you to really get a sense that, because again, I've talked about this forever. The whole Disney lie is just that. It's a falsehood. To tell every girl that they're supposed to be a princess and Prince Charming's going to come save her, that's fake. You're not a Barbie doll, Sarah.
I wish I was.
You can't have the Corvette. You can't have the mansion. You can't have the Ken doll. You can't have all the little stuff, right?
Yeah.
You got this perfect life and you just get all the accessories and that's what life's all about. That's not what it's about. Mm-hmm. That's not life. That's not reality. And so to say that I'm going to take non-reality to help you get a sense of psychological reality for yourself and mental wellness, it's not a good thing. So when people say, well, you're just non-inclusive. Look, again, you can blow glitter out your ass. I don't care what you do. But this is not psychologically healthy for a child.
Which I think you can see in the suicide rate after parents have already allowed their teens or children or young adults or whatever to transition and they are living that life, there's still a high suicide rate because they're just more confused and no one has taught them truth. They don't know what is true and what is not. And I mean, who can blame them for being confused and depressed?
Yeah.
They were set up to be that way.
Yeah. And let me be real clear with everybody, because this is the part where you say, well, what if your kid was... Okay, let's stop you right there. Because if my child had any issue whatsoever, maybe they're having an identity crisis with themselves. It's not a gender thing. It's not a sexuality thing. Just they're having an identity crisis. Yeah. I would hope that I would have enough inner fortitude and self-confidence in my own identity to be able to help walk them through that with love and compassion. Mm-hmm. If my child comes to me and says, hey, I'm gay, I'm lesbian, whatever, I hope that I got enough inner fortitude and self-confidence to walk them through that as well. Because again, it's like, this is the type thing. And I know parents can be assholes. They can be assholes. Somebody's struggling to come out of the closet, right? I haven't walked in those shoes.
Right.
But I know a lot of people who have. And they've told me their stories. And in many cases, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And parents can be assholes because suddenly their child doesn't reflect who they thought they should be, because you think your child is an extension of your identity. We all do that. Your kid's acting up in the restaurant, you're the one that gets embarrassed.
Ooh, ain't that the truth?
You know, you got the dad who goes out there and screams at his kid on the football field because he's living vicariously through the son.
Yeah.
It's so you got the beauty pageant moms that are out there doing the thing. They're living vicariously through the little girl. So that it's this same thing where it's like, oh, my child is not living up to the expectations that I had for them, and I'm disappointed. Parents need to have a little more of that inner self-confidence themselves, that you don't need your child to necessarily be a reflection of your identity. Mm-hmm. Let them be themselves. Biggest thing I'm proud of is I've got 4 biological children. All 4 of them are very unique. Very unique. And I'm like, thank God they are. Mm-hmm. Thank God they are. So
that sounds like good parenting.
I want to process them through and every one of them's had their crises. They've all had their identity stuff. They've all had their confidence issues and stuff like that. You want to walk them through it. Never at any time did I say, let's take them to a drag show. Let's take them to a place where sexuality and flamboyancy is just on display in this gaudy enactment of surreal non-reality. It's just, I get what they're trying to say they're doing,
right?
But that ain't what's going on.
No.
I got to take a break because I'm fired up about this thing. And what are we selling, Brandon? I got it right here. I'm always right here. My Patriot Supply. That's what we're selling.
Oof, you need that now more than ever.
That's true. And I'm buying more of it, actually. I wish I was one of those influencers where My Patriot Supply said, here's some buckets of it.
I was just saying that the other day.
They don't give me anything, but I buy it. And I encourage everybody to listen. Like, I'm moving this week.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the movers are like coming through the stuff. And I'm like, well, there's a lot of these buckets of stuff.
Yes.
And they're like, dang, man, that's a whole truckload of stuff. And I'm like, that's right, because I'm a fat boy and I like to eat. And they're like, what's in these buckets? I said, it's my emergency survival food. And they were like, they look at you like that. And I was like, yeah, you're going to be coming for me. You're going to know where this food is.
Now they know where you live.
That's right. So that's a fact. And now's the time to get more of it because they got this huge deal going on where you could save $250 on their Ready Hour 3-month emergency food kit. And that's the lowest price they've had in 3 years because what happened at My Patriot Supply was before the supply shortages and all that stuff, they bought a bunch of this stuff before the inflation hit, and now they're sending the savings on to you. So they're going to be a good company like that, good patriots, and they're going to pass the savings along to you. So you can go to preparewithchad.com and get what you need to make sure you get those 2,000 calories a day for every member of your family. Go to preparewithchad.com, get the $250 off per kit. They're going to get you free shipping. It's going to arrive discreetly. Ready Hour Foods. They're awesome. Preparewithchad.com. We'll be right back. I love everybody, Sarah.
Do you?
Yeah, I do actually.
I don't.
I mean, so back to the typo tweet, which was funny.
Yeah.
Is I purposefully did 3 tweets and I put very simple typos like your and your, there and there, where and where, here and here. And I put them in there. And
multiple
and
typos in one tweet.
Yeah, and did it. I am not a person who normally gets accused of being inarticulate.
It's kind of what you're known for. It's the opposite. Yeah.
So the yesterday morning, it was a long 24 hours because it blew up. And the Riri's came after me, and they did. And I was entertained, but it also was cringe because I see the typos, and I was like, oh, am I going to leave this? I got to leave this. And the one particular one really blew up where I said in the thing, God, I just lost it. Why did I lose it? It was the your one where I said, oh, come on, Sarah.
What did I do?
Oh, it's just your fault. But you would think that
I feel like within this amount of time, I could have just picked up my phone and gone to your Twitter and found it.
That's why we need you to fill a little time.
But anyway,
Sarah.
I said, your body, your choice, your student loan or whatever, your responsibility. But I put YOU''RE. People saw it. So anyway, I commented back on the thing, and I was like, the whole point of the deal was finally I said, this is an example of my problem becoming yours, right? Mm-hmm. And this is, that was the whole thing. Did you look it up?
Yeah, you actually do have a bunch of retweets, so I don't see it.
There's a bunch, dude. I am filling up Twitter right now. But I said, yesterday I put out 3 specific tweets with very obvious typos. I told several people to observe the ensuing meltdown as my problems became other people's problems. And the meltdown didn't disappoint. Now, here's my question. If you can get that trigger over typos, what if my mistakes affected your taxes? What if you had to take responsibility for my actions, my problems? This is why the student loan forgiveness plan is so polarizing. And the point is, if you're going to get that upset over where an apostrophe is or the wrong use of a word, and because people are going, this is giving me a headache to read.
It doesn't really affect you.
Yeah, it's like, oh, then they're like, oh, well, what if this was your taxes? Because it's going to affect everybody. We're in this thing all together on this whole deal. But the Twitter meltdown was fantastic.
I like this response, which I did find it.
Yeah.
Sir, have you considered taking a remedial grammar class? And Chad responded, remedy what?
I mean, all day long, I was misspelling stuff. And so the one person who's, I don't know, some troll is nonstop, just obsessed with me. And
maybe one of the ones we share.
So it's a weird crush. They said, because I would misspell something, they was like, are you really going to go with this? And I said, really? R-E-E-L-Y? And they said, that is a misspelling and not a grammar mistake. Surely do you know the difference? And I said, Y-O-U-R, you're right, W-R-I-T-E. I said, there's both in one sentence. You're right. So I gave them a misspelling and a grammar mistake all in one thing. And I'm like, guys, I had a blast. And they were like, and so last night I'm sitting there at the house and I'm just sitting on the couch, I'm reading this stuff, and I was like, this was the highlight of my day. And people were like, really? That was your highlight of your day? Is you were on Twitter reading the responses? I was like, yeah.
I'm laughing at all of y'all.
I mean, yeah, it was. Like, you guys really, these folks out there, they truly think they are affecting people with this stuff. Like, it's really, like, they think we're really bothered by it. Like, the fact that we're even talking about it right now, we must really be bothered by it. No, it's pure entertainment.
Yes, I know. They do the same thing to me, and they'll always accuse you of crying about it, right? They're like, oh, go cry about it more. I'm like, I just screenshotted you to for my own personal amusement to make fun of you to all of my followers.
Yeah.
What about that makes you think that I'm crying? I think this is absolutely hilarious.
I had this one dude who's a blue check, right? Here come the blue checks. After a bunch of stuff, here come the blue checks.
Oh, boy.
Here come the guys who are like, it's like Johnny come latelys. They're going to weigh in on their deal.
Right.
And this guy, like, he would say something, and I would like, he was like, Y-O-U-R. And so under it, I put U-R. Just your.
Yeah.
And then he's like, you think that's cool? And I was like, K-W-L. And every response, dude, he would retweet it. He would retweet it with his comment. And I'm like, you could just keep going in the thread. And he's like, no, I want to make you known. I was like, wait a minute. I went and looked at his following.
Please.
Like 6,000 followers. And I was like,
you want to make me known?
Please make me known.
Okay.
Please. His retweets were getting 0 reactions. I was like, dude, this is not for you, man. Yeah. This is not a place for you.
I love that.
I know. It's fun. But this is the world we're living in.
It is.
People just abjectly hate each other.
Yes.
And they think we succumb to that. Like, I'm like, like, I want you to avoid the cliff you're running off of.
Right.
I do. I want you to, because the destruction is going to affect all of us.
Precisely.
And
yes.
so, like, I don't want my kids growing up in a world with this level of stupidity or misplaced importance, right? Mm-hmm. See, to me, social media is, in some ways, it's a business, but it's entertainment.
Yeah.
It's entertainment. It's a sociological experiment. So if you get on there, and I like to post my inspirational stuff. Sometimes I get in my thoughts and I start posting stuff. The other night I posted one about if your happenings happen to happen happily, you'll be happy. And if your happenings happen to happen unhappily, you'll be unhappy. It's all, in other words, happiness is circumstantial. People don't care if you're happy, and your happiness shouldn't depend on other people anyway. So I went in this whole thing. People are like, Chad, we understand that you're trying to get your life sorted out right now, but we really don't want to read about this. We want your political views. And I'm like, step back from the computer. Take a deep breath. And understand that for however many years now, I've always done this.
That's why I'm so confused. I'm like, wait, I thought that people got onto you because they didn't want to hear your political views, and they just wanted to hear more of that.
I started following Chad for his political views, but I don't want to hear all of this feel-good mumbo jumbo.
Oh my God, you people are never satisfied. Shut up.
Well, it's like we were talking to our buddy Matt Morrison on your show Tuesday or Monday, whenever it was. What day was it?
Monday.
It was Monday. I don't even know what today is.
I don't either.
So anyway, and so we started doing that whole thing, and I was like, God, man, it's just absolutely crazy. All this stuff. But anyway, here we are. We're living in this world together. But Matt said on your show, he's like, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. And it is.
It is.
And it's sad to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing. He made the comment when we were in a break. He said, he said, people aren't critically thinking anymore. It's all about how they feel.
Yeah.
And we know that, but they're applying it to every part of life. So see, like we talk about taking kids to drag shows. They're not thinking about, they're thinking about how it feels. I want to make sure the kids feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, are you going to be there to pick up the pieces when those feelings fail? Because feelings don't last.
Right.
You don't feel your way into life. You act your way into life. You think your way into life. Mm-hmm. Nobody felt their way into success.
And parents are there. Their primary job is to guide the child while using, truth and facts to guide the child in the right direction.
See, the whole point of what you and I do, because you and I, we talk about politics, but I've said this over and over, we're not political people, we're culture people.
Yeah.
We talk about culture. And how politics will affect that now.
Yeah, boy, let me tell you, nothing bores me more than like a tax bill, right? Like I don't want to be
There's
political.
no way, like our network president, he used to work for Rand Paul, and he worked for Ted Cruz. He did all this Washington, D.C., and he was the guy that gave him the bills to read.
Yeah.
And he's like, you just start at the back.
Ugh.
He's told me, he's like, you start at the back.
Really?
He said, because they hide the stuff in the back.
Oh, that makes sense because no one's going to get to the actual end of the bill.
So Gaston, he told me years ago, he's like, they'd hand me these big old things like this, and he'd say, you just start reading it backwards.
Mm-hmm, that's very smart.
And you get into the whole thing. But I'm like, did you want to just shoot yourself at that point? Because damn. He's like, no, I actually enjoyed it. I'm like, you're weird, bro.
What
you're
a nerd.
You're weird. Weird. So anyway, I'm glad somebody does it, but that's not me and you.
That's like Jason Buttrell. Yes, no,
yeah, that's
not
not me and you.
Yeah.
Jason Buttrell, that guy, he's on somebody's list. So I see stuff like this article here. IRS will increase audits on middle class, but only a small fraction of new tax revenues. And I read that, and I'm like, all I need is the headline to know I'm pissed off, right there. And you could read all this stuff, and then I see a quote by Janet Yellen, and I go, nah, forget it. I don't care. Other than when the audits come. And when the audits start coming, like that stuff makes me nervous anyway. I'm leaving. I'm out. No. I'm gone. I'm moving. I've been in enough third world countries. I got some contacts there. I'll be off the grid.
Where do they not have extradition?
Gone. You think I can't hide in Nigeria? That's on a do not fly list. I get in there.
Just do the John McAfee. You can do John McAfee. Go get you a boat. International waters.
Exactly.
And do bath salts.
I'm gone. I'm out. Jeez. Ford electric Mustang price going up after Biden and Dems handed out EV tax credit. There's an electric Mustang?
That doesn't count. Guys, if you own an electric Mustang, that does not count.
If you roll up in a muscle car that's silent.
That's I'm sorry, that's pretty gay.
Wow. You got to save some money, folks. I hope you do that right now. Americans are discovering that if we want to change this nation, got to change the way the marketplace works. The woke corporations are seeking to divide us. Big banks are freezing the accounts of people who disagree with their political views, and our supply chain is dependent upon countries that actively work against our values. We know this. It's time for a change, and that change starts with you and your wallet. That's why I want to tell you about the folks I partner with over at Public Square, the largest network of patriotic, freedom-loving businesses and consumers our nation's ever seen. Public Square is the first app to connect freedom-loving Americans with their local community and the businesses that share their values. So whether you want to support a restaurant that only buys from local farms, a coffee shop that took a stand against COVID mandates, or a bank that would never cancel you for political views, Public Square is the guide you need. There's also interactive, censor-free community groups where you can connect with other local members. And the best part is it's free to join. Download Public Square. It's in the App Store. And create an account, begin your search. You can even list your business in there as well so folks can find you. Download the app today, Public Square. That's Public SQ is where you're going to find it. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. It's that time of the show. I'm going to run my mouth for a few minutes. Good God, these neo-Marxist, nihilistic, self-loathing people. Stop. Folks, listen, folks. Let me, I'm going to take you into this this world of idiotic ideation, all right? The grand state of Utah, William Penn Elementary School has suspended with pay one of their new teachers for posting a video about how her classroom is, quote, built for non-white students. I don't know if you saw this or not. I made a post about it. Listen, she said, for the first time in my life, I'm going to be teaching a majority white school, and I'm kind of interested to see how students and parents react to my classroom, or if they even notice anything about it because it's built for non-white students. What I mean by that, she said, is if you look around at some of the materials I have, you'll notice that there is like no white kids represented in that. So in essence, everything in this teacher's classroom is designed to represent diversity, which in this day and age means alienating the shit out of any kid whose skin happens to be white and flying in the face of all reason, as most of these blue-haired Riri's decisions do. So this teacher, by the way, is white. Now, it'd be one thing if a teacher wanted to say something like, I've included materials that depict people of all races. See, it's bad enough that we have to pay attention to skin color at all, but at least that would be somewhat consistent with the supposed spirit of the diversity movement, but she's not doing that. She's actually openly promoting racism. Look, I know I'm preaching to the converted here as per our usual arrangement, but think about that for a minute. If she had come on that video and said her classroom was built to exclude literally any other skin color, she wouldn't have been suspended with pay, which is what this lady is. She'd have been dragged out in the streets, forced to confess her sins to an angry mob, and then they'd have burned her at the stake and roasted marshmallows over her body. And listen, while we're covering the well-worn ground here, don't give me this word salad garbage about how it's okay to discriminate against people with white skin because you can only be racist if you're a member of a race that has power. Plenty of people in plenty of different races all over the globe right freaking now have varying levels of power depending on where they are. And that's to say nothing about where the balances of power have been throughout history and where they will be in the future. It's an intellectual non-starter. It's a cop-out to get out of the discussion-free card used by weak-minded individuals like Ibram X. Kendi to keep from ever having to admit that their ideology is BS. And it is bullshit. Now, my inclination is that this teacher should probably be fired. I'd love to think otherwise because I happen to believe that people can make mistakes and redeem themselves. But, just setting her loose on our kids, that's a bad idea, even if she's been summarily disciplined. You don't just root out the shit for brains thinking overnight. We got enough problems with the education system already. Listen, if you shame somebody for what they are, for parts of themselves that they can't control, like their skin color, what happens? One, you get a few dull spoons from the drawer like this lady who are willing to whack themselves on the back with a cat of nine tails and flagellate themselves and cry for the expiation of their race. But on a broader scale, you sow division. And you push people further and further apart from one another, and it is absolutely a recipe for disaster. I watched that video. I never could figure out if she was a male or female, though. I think it was a female. Why are these people so confusing? Like, I knew she was white.
Right. Well, she could be albino.
Like, what black video are you on? I mean, who are you trying to please here?
That is really weird.
I mean,
could you imagine if you walked into like a meet the teacher for your young child and it was just like a super white teacher who had everything black in their room, and you're like,
there's so many comedy sketches that I think of in a situation
you mean like if
like this. Like
Rachel Dolezal started teaching?
Yeah, and it's like, never mind. I'm gonna get in trouble for that.
I mean, you would come in there and you're wearing you're wearing your African garb and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, are they speaking like are they speaking Ebonics?
That is that what I just said was Johnny shit his pants this morning. And could you tomorrow send an extra pair of underwear? Yeah. Yeah. I'm so over it. Like I'm just like, I'm at a point now, Sarah, and I know you are too, where I just like just throw it in your face. Like, it's so stupid. Yep. Because the pendulum's going to swing. So all these things that these people are supposedly trying to avoid is just going to go the other way to the point where people just go throw it in your face.
Chad's so done with it. He's throwing papers everywhere.
Yeah, get rid of it. It's just going to throw it in your face.
Yeah.
I'm just so tired of it. This is just not where people live. It's not. It's just not where people live. It's not commonsensical. I mean, just like we talked about.
But it is where people live. It's where way too many people live that I'm comfortable with. I think that's the problem. Not everyone, not the average American.
No.
But enough of them, and they're loud enough that I think the average American thinks that they're in the minority.
Yeah. Like, it amazes me. You know, I put this hat on. I posted in the profile pictures. Again, go back to Twitter. And everybody with a he, him, she, her pronoun deal, their identity thing, they're going to come at me and criticize my, quote, appearance. Right? Every one of them does that. And I keep this whole thing going just for that very reason. Mm-hmm. Just because if you're triggered by a hat, if you're triggered by a typo, don't come at me and tell me that you're confident in your identity, that you've figured out your pronouns. You know, like the he, hims, and the she, hers, you got that pretty much nailed down. You know you got a vagina, you know you got a penis, you identify accordingly. But the confusion of the people who said, well, I don't really know what I am today. Yeah. Like the video we played earlier this week or last week about I'm an it. Well, we've come full circle. That's just like you weren't supposed to use the word queer a couple years ago. Now everything's queer.
Yeah.
Right?
I like the ones that are he, they. Figure that one out. I'm like, wait, what?
I mean, that's kind of my sex life. It's either me or a bunch of people. Yeah, that's why I stay in trouble. Yeah.
Oh dear.
But look, man, people are genuinely, they get pissed off at this stuff. Now, here's my thing. Let's take it all the way back. A perfect example. Here's where these identity issues start to fall apart. Now, if I got on this show and I wore blackface, it would go nuts.
That would not go well.
It would go nuts.
Yes. Maybe you should try that.
You know, I believe in our business it's okay sometimes to punch through the smoke, but I ain't interested in that smoke. You know what I'm saying? But let's say you put on a blackface. Everybody lose their mind.
Yeah.
You're appropriating an identity. You're appropriating a culture. You're appropriating a race. But yet men can dress up like women and go to an establishment and jiggle in front of children. And people are like, oh, it's okay. Men can appropriate women.
Men can appropriate women, therefore jiggling their bits near children are fine. However, we don't see people taking young children to strip clubs.
No. And you don't see those things that are the opposite. You don't see the drag kings.
Right.
Now, that's not to say, because somebody, the pushback's always going to be, well, they're out there. Yeah, they are, but that's not what's going on, and you know it.
You're not going to brunch to go see them.
You're not going to the drag king show.
Right.
So in other words, there's no women dressing up like men to go out there and do this. No, it's always men. And 99% of them are homosexual men. Side note, do with it what you want, but they're men. Now, I don't know. I am a man. I'm a man. I know how men are. I know what men are thinking about sex non-stop. Non-stop. So I'm going to go out there and subject my child to this stuff, to a person who's having an identity issue and who's appropriating a woman's culture, if you will. Right. And I'm going to let them jiggle their bits in front of my kid. And I'm going to hand them dollar bills like I'm at a strip club. But you don't see the opposite.
Right.
You do not see the opposite. So like you take the whole Desmond thing. Desmond the whatever. Who was what, Desmond, a 9, 10, 11-year-old boy.
Desmond is amazing. I think it was younger than that when he first started.
So, but they did it because he was a boy.
Correct.
Imagine if they'd have done that with a girl. And now, again, they talk about the beauty pageants, which I'm not for that either. God bless you if that's what you're into, but I got my issues there too. But here's the thing, because I'm in everybody's business. What if they started doing that, bringing a 9, 10-year-old girl out there, dressing her provocatively, and she was strutting her stuff out there on a catwalk, and Oprah's praising her and all this kind of stuff, and she's laid out and they was doing it in front of a bunch of men.
Who were giving her dollar bills.
Yeah. We'd have a problem with that, wouldn't we? Yes. Culture, by and large, would have a problem with that because you don't, this identity thing, it falls in on itself with just a little tug of the loose string.
Which is why
And that's the
keep
hypocrisy.
saying this is the actual patriarchy. The fact that men can get away with these types of things, take scholarships away from women, all of the things that they're doing, that is the real patriarchy.
Yeah. Going on a break. Be right back. So, Bidenomics, student debt amnesty could cost $1 trillion.
What's $1 trillion?
What is $1 trillion?
Come on.
I mean, it's a non-existent number, in my opinion.
I mean, your eyes just kind of glaze over when $1 trillion. Oh, cool,
so
another trillion. That's great.
Like, there's a comparison. You could talk about $1 billion. There's billionaires, right?
Mm-hmm.
There are no trillionaires. I mean, that's just a economic black hole.
Yeah.
That means it's just going to cost everything, right? So we start talking about the trillions and trillions and trillions. It's like, these people, again, they're just voting themselves money. That you throw a big thing out there, this money goes everywhere. It goes to all these different places. Some of it is going to get laundered and funneled right back to the powers that be.
Ukraine.
Yeah. And so I'm sitting there going, this doesn't make sense to me. And so when I call it out, and people are like, oh, all the money that we've spent on countless wars, all the money that we've spent in Ukraine, all of the blah, blah, blah. They list all these things off. And this is the camel's back that got broken. And I'm like, no, we had a problem with all of this. Mm-hmm. What part of big government we hate do you not understand?
Right.
Again, what part? Let's go back to the Iraq War.
You're taking us way back.
Let's go back to 2001. Everybody said, let's go in and look for those weapons of mass destruction.
Right.
George W. Bush, Hillary Clinton.
That was very bipartisan, yes.
Yeah, so they all said, yep, there's weapons of mass destruction. We look around like, I don't think there's any weapons of mass destruction. But it somehow it was the Republicans' fault. And we were in the Middle East for 22 years over there. And by the way, guys, I mean, the embassy in Baghdad's fallen yesterday. So nobody talking about that. Talking about college loan forgiveness. But no, this thing, I mean, you want to talk about and Dick Cheney. Anybody in their right mind can defend Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, and the war machine that is that, because they know that makes money for them. Mm-hmm. It's a cash cow. So no, we weren't okay with any of that. We weren't okay with it. And people say, well, what about the Republicans getting PPP loans? I wasn't for that either.
The whataboutism is really, truly astounding. And they do it with everything. Yeah. Because they don't actually have standards. Their standard is whatever suits their political narrative. Yeah. And that is what they're for. So they don't realize that it's like, no, actually, we've called that out as well. And then there's radio silence.
I mean, for real. Somebody said that to me on Twitter, and I was like, are you seriously not paying attention at all to the stuff we've called out? Were you okay with Donald Trump pushing the vaccine and promoting that and all that? No. And if you'll listen, we've consistently called him out on it.
Right.
No, we weren't okay with it. I'm not okay with it now.
Yeah.
Go read Steve Deace's tweets right now. Steve was smart. He said the other day, he said, you don't like me calling out Trump on all this stuff, but he's still doubling down, being the vaccine president.
Yep.
So if we don't get him corrected now with the right terminology, at least, if he does run in 24, it's going to put him in a corner, and it's going to be bad.
It's all going to fall apart because he's going to spend all his time defending the vaccine and praising it. And the left is really, they're already starting to just slowly, methodically change the narrative that Trump knew that the vaccine was bad, and
100%.
He ran with it anyway.
100%.
And he will double down. He will not admit anything. His ego cannot handle it.
Oh, I'll look at these things. What do I want to talk about? Hey, dude, you know what's crazy? Like these air trackers. Have you seen these things that goes with your Apple thing? You could. And
I'm quite familiar with them. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, for personal reasons, which I won't disclose. But
yeah, but people are like putting them near you.
Yes.
They can and they can track your locations and stuff. I was reading a bunch of articles. I've got some friends who it shows up on your phone that there's a tracker nearby.
Yes, like if a husband and wife, there's like a jealous ex-husband, they're going through a divorce, he can slap it on your, put it on your car.
Yeah.
And it can track where you're at. But Apple does say that
it's nearby.
It tells you, whenever there's a tracker nearby.
Weird.
Very weird.
But and then the whole fentanyl thing. I mean, this is bad news. They're putting this stuff everywhere, and it's.
So can I ask you a question about that? That
I don't have an answer,
I don't quite, because I know that I don't disagree with anything you say about it, but I just can't quite understand why they are trying to target children. Are they just do they just want the downfall of our society? Because it's not like they're creating repeat customers if they're killing off all of the people who take it.
You want to know what I really think?
Yeah, I do.
I think this is all part of the whole big depopulation thing.
Yeah.
Why are they allowing it?
Right.
Why are we continuing to allow this stuff to be smuggled into the country through open borders? Why are they continuing to allow this thing?
Yeah.
It's the cabal, Sarah. It's all the cabal. They're all in it together.
I mean, they must be, except the drug dealers, because that is not a good business model.
They don't know.
To kill off all of them.
There'll always be somebody to take your shit.
Right.
But, and again, those guys got all the money in the world. They got all the money in the world. So, I don't have time to dig into that whole thing, but yeah, I think everybody's all in on this thing.
Yeah, I agree.
They're all in on this thing, and it's bad. They're all trying to kill us. This is a hearty, fun-filled, uplifting
show. Off the
show.
rails, man. Woo!
You know what I'm going to do? I'm
fun.
depressed now, Brandon. So I think I'm going to go find a drag show. See if I can go hang with some drag queens.
You're starting to sound like Glenn a little.
Yeah, I'm just join them. Screw it. One big snort of fentanyl, it's over.
Listen, the world is ending, but if you want to subscribe to BlazeTV, you can go to.
You know what? We'll be the last ones here. Hunkered down, bunkered in. BlazeTV.com/Chad. There it is, right there. Use promo code Chad. I won't be here for you to watch, but just watch the blank screen. Just get on here. It's apocalyptic as AF. All right, we'll be right back. WatchChad.com is where the fun stuff is. Saturday night, Conroe, Texas, Southern Star Brewing. Next week, going to be in Waco, Texas, as well as Granbury, Texas. I think Granbury's probably sold out already, but check and see. WatchChad.com. Sara Gonzales Unfiltered on YouTube. Subscribe to her new channel and check her out on the News and Why It Matters every single weekday. And
every single day.
Shop SarahG.com as well. Check her out.
Thank you.
Keep stirring it up, girl.
You know we will.
Keep stirring it up. All right. Just know that we love you. We do appreciate you. Have an incredible weekend. Tune in overtime. We'll see you there. Love you. God bless you. Bye.